question. I think the earlier discussion about the market building in already a lot of what NVIDIA does day to day is actually very true. And so I think it's hard to surprise us with what they'll say on earnings. I think the most important thing that he could say that would move markets and that would move the stock up is to give some significant update on the ramp of their new Vera Rubin technology, right? And I think we all know that the transition from Blackwell to Rubin is kind of the next big step for them. They've talked about this being the window of when they will accelerate into the production of that newer, faster, more profitable technology. So I think if he could say something about that ramp being ahead of schedule and start to talk more specifically about it, that's probably what would get people most interested.
And Ryan, I mean, the expectations are sky high. I was looking across analyst coverage. Virtually everybody is bullish in this name. But Alex Coffey was just highlighting that 6 of the previous 8 quarters, the stock was down in the day after the earnings report. And then as he looked out over the next month, 7 to 8 of those quarters, it was still lower, despite the fact that they've put up some very impressive numbers. So what kind of numbers do they have to put up? How significant does the beat need to be? How much higher does the guidance need to be above street estimates for them to finally get a positive reaction here?
Yeah, I think it's interesting to see a company that has beat its own estimates by 13 straight quarters, I think, but that the amount that they have beat it by has kind of compressed over that same time period, going from over 20% to just about 5% in the previous quarter. So I think seeing that accelerate again, seeing that go higher, 5-10% above what their expectations would kind of do that, create some of that spark. And then also, the guidance for the next quarter is really what's going to do it. I think the Q3 consensus is like 103 billion. So can they push that above that to 105, 110, 115 billion? That's really what's going to move things. But then they have to have something to support that, and that's where I think a lot of the product discussions and technology discussions need to be seen.
How much do you anticipate the conversation, or at least the communication from Jensen Huang, to be centered around, because no doubt the analysts are going to ask him about this, the circularity of financing and depreciation?
I think we'll hear a lot about it. I think both of those topics are super interesting, right? The depreciation or shelf life of these GPUs is a really interesting topic. They've talked a lot about in their financial dealings that suddenly, these are going to be 6 to 9 year lives for GPUs. In the previous way of the world and how this worked in the last couple of decades of us tracking it, GPUs were kind of outdated in 2 to 3 years. And what they're saying, and what we're seeing even in our own discussions with NVIDIA customers, like the clouds and neocloud providers, they're still renting out these A100 GPUs that are probably 5 to 6 years old at this point. And so I think that will come up. And can they make that case again and make that case very strongly that these are still going to be in high demand, and all the technology, Blackwell, Hopper, all the GPUs they've released to this point will still have that same shelf life. And then in terms of the financing side, I really look at this as the circularity of the financing is maybe a little bit beyond my ability to make comments, but I think that they're creating another moat for themselves. If you look at the GPU itself was a moat, CUDA and its software stack was a moat. Then they moved to like rack scale as a moat, meaning this is how they differentiate versus any other potential competitor. And now they're moving into the world of financing and funding and creating the baseline of this infrastructure to differentiate and keep the competition for being able to catch up, the AMDs and the Broadcoms of the world, right? And so this is just another way they're creating that differentiation.
Yeah, a little bit of a landlord moat there that they're trying to create. But I'm glad that you mentioned CUDA, because NVIDIA, as I was looking up before our talk, estimates still about an 81% share of the AI accelerator market. But you mentioned AMD there, and we also have custom chips coming from Google, Amazon, Meta. Do you view these as potentially being a real threat to NVIDIA's dominance over the near term, the next 2 to 3 years? Or is the CUDA ecosystem just simply too difficult to displace?
I don't think the CUDA ecosystem anymore is too difficult to displace. I think there is some normalization in the software stack. I do think CUDA and NVIDIA's investment in the ecosystem and software enablement and other technologies that bring this beyond a single system or single GPU into a full rack or to a full data center is what keeps them in the dominant position for the foreseeable future. You look at what AMD's announced with its Helios platform, a very good solution, but they're just now getting into the full rack solution ecosystem. And that's something NVIDIA has done for several generations now. And so, like I said, they're already kind of moving past that into how do you get all the land and power and shell, right, is the term that NVIDIA has been using recently, to kind of create the ecosystem or create the infrastructure to begin with. So I think CUDA itself, has a shelf life of how long it can hold back competition, but they're just creating new layers between themselves and everybody else.
And so, Ryan, if you say the Rubin ramp is perhaps one of the things that people are going to be really keying into next week, as far as perhaps some upside here, we know that some of the timelines have been hitting snags because of some of the production delays, etc. I mean, if we hear anything about that being pushed out, or Jensen not able to give some explicit clarity on exactly what's going on there, will that be the detriment of the report, do you think?
Yeah, I think it would be. I think if they talk about any other kind of delays or critical infrastructure holdups to the kind of the release and deployment of Vera Rubin systems, I think that would be seen as a pretty strong negative by the market. Everything that I have seen to this point, though, whether it's Microsoft and the Azure infrastructure talking about Vera Rubin, Dell shipping its first Vera Rubin rack, CoreWeave and Nebius having theirs online and being tested, the Foxconn forward-looking statements, like all of these things point to this ramp occurring. And I think what NVIDIA and Jensen need to talk about now is, are they able to pull that in? Are they able to drive that momentum earlier into their next quarter?
It's almost here. It's NVIDIA's second quarter earnings. The moment Wall Street has been waiting for every quarter since the AI trade started. Its big tech contemporaries released their results almost a month ago, but it's finally time for NVIDIA to give us the skinny on its latest quarter. The revelation also comes as semiconductor stocks more widely are struggling to hold on to gains over the last month following July's heavy falls on renewed doubts about whether firms would receive returns on their massive AI expenditures. Microsoft, Amazon, and Google helped assuage some of those anxieties with good growth rates in their own cloud operations. But Google, along with Meta, worried investors with higher spending. Bloomberg analyst average forecasts predict NVIDIA will announce second quarter adjusted earnings per share, EPS, of $2.09 on revenue of $92 billion for the quarter. That would be a 96% year-over-year increase in total sales and a sustained acceleration quarter over quarter. Last quarter, NVIDIA reorganized its reporting structure to separate out data center revenue between sales to hyperscalers and AI clouds, industrial and enterprise, ACIE. The company's PC, gaming console, workstation, robotics, and automotive income is now included in the company's edge computing business. Data center revenue is projected to surpass $85.4 billion, up 107%. Hyperscaler revenue is forecast to reach $43.5 billion, while ACIE sales is likely to reach $41.7 billion. Most of its revenue still comes from hyperscalers like Amazon, Google, and Microsoft, NVIDIA says. But each of those companies either makes its own chips to cut its reliance on NVIDIA or sells them to third-party clients, creating a potential headwind for the company down the road. And NVIDIA keeps signing deals with companies in the AI ecosystem. The AI leader said earlier this month it is working with BlackRock, Blackstone, KKR, Apollo, Brookfield, and Goldman Sachs to create a $500 billion pool of capital that will securitize NVIDIA's GPUs. The company also announced it is supporting SB Energy and OpenAI's plans to develop a gigantic 8-gigawatt data center in Ohio that may cost as much as $150 billion. NVIDIA is in talks to invest in Perplexity in a funding round that would value the artificial intelligence, AI, startup at more than $30 billion, the information reported on Sunday. The deal would raise Perplexity's worth by more than 50% from its last financing a year ago, the article added, citing people with knowledge of the proceedings. Perplexity, which runs an AI-powered search and answer engine, has seen annualized revenue rise to more than $750 from less than $250 at the start of the year, the article said. Some of that increase has come from Perplexity Computer, a cloud-based agent that professionals employ to automate computer-based operations. The information reported last September that Perplexity was valued at $20 billion, indicating the company's value has ballooned in the span of a year. Perplexity declined to comment, and NVIDIA did not immediately return a request for comment. The business, which inked a $750 million cloud deal with Microsoft earlier this year, wants to go public in 2028. Backers include NVIDIA, Amazon founder Jeff Bezos, and Japan's SoftBank Group. The most awaited profits report is announced every quarter. And every quarter preceding that report, investors pose the same question. Should I buy NVIDIA stock ahead of the quarterly update? Earnings releases can be big stock catalysts, especially for a stock in the biggest corporation in the world by market valuation that is at the center of one of the biggest innovations ever. NVIDIA will release its 2027 second quarter earnings after market close on Aug. 26. Will the stock go through the roof after that important date? History proves it so. In May 2026, NVIDIA said it expects revenue of $91 billion, plus or minus 2%. And if the corporation meets that target, it would be about 95% revenue increase year over year. Wall Street is a bit more optimistic. Consensus Q2 revenue forecast is $92.07 billion. Analysts also predict NVIDIA to produce adjusted earnings of $2.09 per share, up from $1.05 in the year-ago period. The bulk of NVIDIA's growth will presumably come from its data center business, as expected. The company's graphics processing units, GPUs, are still seeing huge demand to power artificial intelligence, AI applications that run in data centers. NVIDIA CEO Jensen Huang projects that his company will earn a massive $1 trillion in revenue overall from its Blackwell and Rubin GPUs from 2025 through the end of calendar year 2027. And that's without any of the contributions from the Vera Rubin CPUs. NVIDIA has had an easy time beating Wall Street predictions in the past. In fact, the corporation has beaten analyst projections for a remarkable 13 straight quarters. Well, did NVIDIA stock rally after each of those earnings beats? No. Surprisingly, the share price of the GPU powerhouse has in some cases decreased after comfortably beating earnings projections. One is that Wall Street has whisper numbers, unofficial genuine earnings forecasts for a business. NVIDIA can post quarterly results that surpass the disclosed analyst's projection, but fall short of the whisper number. Another factor that may be even more crucial is the guidance and comments that NVIDIA delivers in its quarterly updates on near-term forecasts. Investors gaze forward. NVIDIA can blast a home run out of the park in its quarterly results and still strike out if management talks about potential speed bumps ahead. Conversely, any rumors about bettering market opportunities may push GPU stock upward following a quarterly update, irrespective of the numbers it reports. One thing to watch for in NVIDIA's Q2 reports this week is its China sales. The company's guidance does not include any Chinese data center revenue. If the company's executives give reason to be optimistic about AI chip sales in the country, look for a spike in NVIDIA's stock after Wednesday. Will the stock jump right after August 26? My bet, based on its track record, is that it will not. 1. The cushion by which NVIDIA beats Wall Street earnings projections and its own guidance has worn away over time. For example, the corporation reported earnings 22.8% above the midpoint of their guidance range in the second quarter of fiscal 2024. NVIDIA's fiscal Q1 2027 results came in about 5.5% ahead of estimates. NVIDIA is also concerned about increasing concerns about hyperscalers' spending on AI infrastructure. Investors are increasingly concerned about the huge bets that cloud providers and other tech businesses are placing on expanding their processing capacity. The murkiness of the dynamics around these AI companies makes it harder for NVIDIA to shake the negativity, no matter how strong its Q2 results are. But I could be mistaken. NVIDIA may wow Wall Street with its upcoming quarterly update, as it has done at times in the past. More significantly, whether NVIDIA's shares skyrocket after Aug 26 doesn't matter in the grand scheme of things. The stock has made a lot of money for long-term investors who have kept it. I expect that to remain true regardless of what the Q2 results from NVIDIA are. NVIDIA has held early-stage talks with South Korean company Rebellions on multiple potential types of partnership, Bloomberg reported, citing individuals familiar with the situation. The cooperation possibilities being considered include a technical partnership, investment, or possible purchase. The talks follow a meeting last week at NVIDIA's Santa Clara headquarters of the company's CEO Jensen Huang and Rebellion's co-founder and CEO Sung-Hyun Park. Based in Bundong and founded in 2020, Rebellions is developing neural processing units for data centers, with an emphasis on AI inference workloads. Inference is less compute-heavy than AI training, allowing AI services to be run at scale. The Atom architecture was developed for generative AI workloads and has been used with Red Hat's AI software stack, Tech in Asia said. Rebellions has secured almost $850 in investment from investors, including Samsung Ventures, SK Hynix, and ARM Holdings. It has also gotten a direct investment from the government of South Korea. In recent years, the company has increased its attention on investments in the AI field. Previous deals have included high-profile firms like the 2025 deal with the US Grok, when NVIDIA secured a non-exclusive license and hired most of the latter's engineering team. The deal is not an acquisition, and Grok will remain an independent company operating its own cloud business, NVIDIA said. Sources stress that conversations with Rebellions are at a preliminary level, and there is no certainty that any sale will place. If it looks like it could be bought out or otherwise, it might anticipate the regulators to take a look, especially in South Korea, where semiconductors are considered important assets. Rebellions raised $400 in a pre-initial public offering, IPO, fundraising round in March, sponsored by Mirai Asset Financial Group and Korea National Growth Fund. This fresh investment brings the company's total capital to $850, valuing it at an estimated $2.34 billion. Originally published on Verdict, a global data-owned brand NVIDIA in talks with Rebellions for prospective AI chip relationship.